Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another e-commerce marketing chat. I thought I'd start there. Jimmy was like, "You start it off today." I was like, "All right, let's do it. Let's switch it up."
That's it. So, and last week we forgot to mention the group. So, if you are looking to chat to us in the group, e-commerce marketing community on Facebook, you'll find us there. So, we're gonna plug it right at the start this time. I think we plugged it at about the 43-minute mark last time, so I'll
Yeah,
get it
well,
in nice and early.
we're still learning the ropes, aren't we, with this YouTube slash I don't know what we're calling it. Well, yeah, it's YouTube, really, isn't it? It's we're not effectively a podcast. It's more just for general chat. We post on YouTube once a week and
Yeah,
go with that,
definitely.
don't we?
I think
So
this is basically our long form chat where we just basically bounce ideas. Usually we have some ideas of what we want to chat. We'll probably discuss those in a minute, just brainstorm what we actually want to cover. Just for more so people listening to these episodes, I want them to kind of know where we're or what we're wanting to discuss at a basic level before we jump into it. Because the last thing that I want is someone to listen to an hour of us talking and realize that nothing was relevant to what they're working on at the moment. So at least we can kind of give you some guidance of what we are going to be talking about, and how much use it's going to be for you, basically. And if you think your hour's better spent on another episode, then go listen to that one. So there's definitely gold in all of them, but I would say people at different spots of business, it's going to be more relevant to them than others, I guess.
yeah, for sure. So what would you like to cover today, Jimmy? What have you got on your list?
Let me have a quick look. So I have got talking a bit about what kind of the bigger players are doing in the space and how you can find out what apps they're using, and because that's a common question, like, Jimmy, what app should I use for this? What app should I use for that? And I would say don't overwhelm your site with apps, but there's definitely probably some staple apps that you want on your site for different things. We've kind of discussed apps previously, but it's more so what I've personally used, and we talked about Process for like Google Ads, feed management, and a couple of apps that we've used personally. The apps that I kind of want to discuss today are more staples for e-commerce businesses, and not so much ones that I would use personally, but ones that are like important for marketing, in
Yeah.
different aspects. And yeah, so they're probably the two big things I want to cover tomorrow, like how I'm doing competitor research on competitors, what I'm seeing from the big players in the space, and what apps I think are the go-to apps that you should start using at the moment.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I've been kind of digging a little bit into AI search, and I was looking at, specifically how to rank potentially on ChatGPT, as and using that as an actual search engine, and then going back to kind of the more, I guess, traditional search engine, Google, and with their introduction of what they call AI overviews. So they've been rolling this out slowly over time, whereby when you search for a particular query, in some of the searches that you make, there'll be an AI generated overview that pops up above the organic listings on Google. So those are a couple of things that I've been kind of delving into. Um, Also looking at TikTok Shop and
Yeah, that's a big one. I'm
how,
starting to look
like,
into that one too.
yeah, like, I mean, just seeing the where things are going with the the creator economy and how that's going to influence things with TikTok. I think it's going to be huge. Once, I mean, I know that TikTok now have their affiliate program, but I looks like from just kind of tinkering with the app, there's the next step would be for it to be a lot more of a smoother process, so that you're looking at a product and you can literally just swipe up and you're able to buy straight within TikTok in a really easy way. And I think they do that in some products, but not all. So yeah, those are a couple of things that I've been kind of delving into and just exploring.
The creator economy one's definitely an interesting one and something I've been looking into a lot lately as well. So that'll be actually be a cool topic to touch on too, because I think it's super relevant. We kind of touched on it a little bit last week when we talked about what Amazon were doing with their influencer program. So I'll touch on that again, and we can chat about where we see it going on TikTok and those kind of things as well.
Yep, sounds good. Where do you want to take it? Where should we start?
Let's start with the SEO world. Let's have a, because I'm interested in kind of finding out what you found out about how potentially to rank in, when we talk about ranking in AI search engines, we're talking about, say you type in ChatGPT, hey ChatGPT, what's the best wakeboarding company in my area? Like, where's it getting that data to give those answers? That's kind of what Charles was looking into. Like, how do you get your shop to show up as that recommendation, or what do you need to be doing to your site or optimizing to show up in these search engines? And one of the one of the reasons we discussed this initially was because one of my clients sent me, when ChatGPT integrated with Bing, they sent me a chat they had with the Bing ChatGPT, and they were asking it about kind of the best snow skis in Melbourne, and the shop that they recommended was not theirs. So they were like, "How do we get here?" I was like, I'm always very transparent. I'm just said, you know what, this is so new. I don't actually know yet, so I'm not going to guess. I'm going to find out for you and um, try to give you a better explanation around how you can more optimize to show up in those kind of ChatGPT agents, because it's going to go that way. It's going to be, you're going to be asking AI on voice search, hey, what's the best shop to get this? And AI is going to recommend something. Now you want to optimize your site to be that recommendation, basically.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, from what I'm seeing, based on kind of the research, and is that the two the two biggest factors really, and it's quite kind of generic, I guess you could say, is number one is brand. Is it's just building a strong brand overall. So, yes, focusing on your traditional SEO, but also building up your social media presence, building a strong community. All of these things is going to influence you showing up high up on traditional search engines, which then the AI search engines are going to pull through those top listings. So brand is still number one. Um, and then kind of the trust elements. So looking at things like reviews as well is seems to be a big one. So if a if a store's got a lot of reviews, or obviously we're talking about ecom, so yeah, it would be product reviews. Again, more likely to show up if they were looking for a particular product, or type of e-commerce store. So those seem to be the two from kind of the AI search world. But I mean, they're all different. ChatGPT integrates into Bing, so their ranking factors may be slightly different to what AI overviews in Google are showing.
And
Um,
the good thing about AI, like Perplexity AI, they actually give you the source where they're getting their information from. So you can kind of see where they're pulling it from, and then you could almost attempt to reverse engineer what that resource is doing, or I guess that might be a strategy to look at too. It's something that I've looked at, especially, when I was, so we discussed last week about collection pages and how if particular influencers were recommending particular products, then we set up a collection page with that influencer's name recommendations, and then we'd list the products that they were recommending. So I actually went into Perplexity AI and asked it, what products does this influencer recommend? And it actually showed another company that had collections page set up already and was referencing those products through that page. I'm like, okay, we're on the right track here. We just need to outrank this company now. So gave us kind of a North Star. It's like this page is nothing special. It's not that optimized. So we just need to put some work in to making our page extremely optimized, user friendly, good user experience, and providing basically the highest recommended products up the top. So yeah, it gives you. Don't expect to set up a page and be in AI the next day. Like it takes some time, and the ones that are already in there, you kind of want to have a look on their site and see what they're doing and what you might want to reverse engineer. But more importantly, how you can make it better.
Yeah, I mean, you've also got to figure out, like, if I was approaching this, I would be focusing on making my SEO the best it can be, because I think they're pulling through many of those ranking factors, like from kind of a traditional search model. And we have to ask ourselves, how many people, what is the percentage of people using solely AI search engines versus Google? And I'm sure that number is going to increase, but Google have now integrated their own AI overviews into things as well. So they're obviously in the game now. And I mean, regards to kind of the AI overviews from Google, for me, these are just a replacement of featured snippets. So it used to be when you type something like how to, what is, query into Google search, you would get like a snippet at the top of the page that was pulling through from a particular website link. And it seems like that's the AI overviews have just replaced that. And what's getting you ranking for those AI overviews is very short, precise, well put together like sentences and information. So one thing that I was kind of researching and looking into is that if you're going to do, say, a blog post and it's like the ultimate guide around a particular subject, then start with the summary at the top,
Okay, interesting.
because that's going to get you to potentially rank for that AI overview, rather than having huge amounts of text on the page and then Google's not able to crawl that page effectively and show that in the AI overview.
When you say at the top, like, would you put it above like a table of contents type thing, like the summary?
Uh, yeah, potentially. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd have it at the top above the table of content. And it seems like the types of queries that are showing up for AI overviews are things like, what is,
Mhm.
or how to. It's quite straightforward questions. It's not complex type answers that it's generating. It's common questions that people are asking on a regular basis. So um but it seems like they're kind of slowly rolling this out. It doesn't seem, I'm not seeing it in a vast amount of searches yet, and I'm only seeing it when I'm using a VPN. I'm only seeing it in the US, the UK. um I haven't tested it in Australia yet, to be honest with you,
I haven't
but
seen I haven't seen it in
no.
Australia yet. It
um,
probably has popped up. I just haven't noticed it. Another interesting thing on the search network side of things, like I'm seeing a lot of ads at the moment for TikTok search saying 70% of users are choosing TikTok search over Google now, which is absolute BS. So, um, like, firstly, if you're seeing these ads, like, take what they say with a grain of salt. TikTok search has not taken 70% of the search market in comparison to Google. In fact, it wouldn't even be close. I don't have the data, but I can confidently say that that's not the case. Um, Maybe for certain niches on products, potentially. But yeah, TikTok search is definitely growing. So it's something that you need to be aware of. And if you're not aware of it, and TikTok's a hard one. So I deleted it off my phone months ago. I found the algorithm way too good, and I would be stuck in content loops for hours, which is not where I want to be. I want to be the content producer, not the content consumer. But in saying that, like a lot of your customers are going to be there because they're going to be stuck in those content loops that I'm talking about. So if you are experimenting with TikTok, the first thing you should do is go to TikTok search and type in the products that you sell and see what's out there, what's showing up, and whether it's worth playing in that space, especially if it's growing, and which it is. TikTok search is growing astronomically. When Charles was speaking about the kind of the content creators before, they've recently, from what I'm aware, have just signed kind of an agreement with Amazon um, for basically those affiliate commissions when you post a video of a product that's on Amazon. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on kind of the AI SEO space, Charles, or do you want to jump into the content creation side?
No, no, we could jump into the content for TikTok. Yeah.
I'm actually really interested in the space because I am going to play in it a bit with my wife in terms of doing some product reviews. One, to learn the process, make good product review videos, but Amazon is pushing it so hard, which is always a key indicator to me. They're the biggest e-commerce store in the world, and if they're trying to get as many influencers on their platform as possible to create videos reviewing products, you should be taking note of that, and you should be getting video reviews for your own products and putting them on your product pages because that's where Amazon's putting them. They're putting them on their product pages, and how it works with the influencers. If an influencer has created a video, someone watches that video and then purchases the product off Amazon, they get a commission. So they don't have to do anything other than upload the video to Amazon, and it's an asset that just sits there. And I've seen, you know, mum and dad types making, kids book reviews, and they're able to bring in an extra, $20,000-$30,000 a year. Like this isn't like a mind-blowing money maker thing, but you can definitely, add a couple of $1,000s a month as a revenue stream for creating these kind of videos. Another guide, if you want to research this more, is Spencer Hawes from Niche Pursuits. He actually did a test on this, and I think he got up to around, I think it was around the $20,000 to $30,000 a year mark. He did put a lot of money into it to invest into it, so I think he got to the point where he broke even on that. But now that he spent all the money that he wanted to spend on it, anything going forward is, revenue in his back pocket. So yeah, take note of creating video reviews for your products, getting video reviews from customers for your products. And Charles mentioned TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop is going to be driven on video reviews of products. Like it is, it's coming. Well, it's already here. Like you need to start adding video reviews on your products. Um, Even I've noticed it in my own shopping habits too. If you have a look at a product and they've got the images under the main product, if I see that little play arrow on one of those images, I'm playing that one first so I can watch the video of the product. So I'm noticing it in my own shopping habits as well. But yeah, uh, 100% don't sleep on video reviews for products because they're about to be flooded everywhere, and you don't want to be left behind with all your competitors having video reviews of products that you potentially sell to. So if you can get ahead of the game, when all your competitors catch up, at least you'll be, a couple of months ahead already.
No, I think you're right. I mean, arguably, I think TikTok could be a bigger opportunity than even Amazon is. I just look at the engagement, and I just think how many, influencers are on TikTok with huge audiences, and there's, with Amazon, you're really going on there because when you're ready to actively look to purchase something, typically, yeah, there might be some people that scroll occasionally, but with TikTok, you're there constantly just to consume content. There's people on there spending hours and hours just consuming content. And if they're able to seamlessly integrate the TikTok shop effectively with the right affiliate links as well, being able, and once consumer behavior changes in a way where they feel more comfortable to purchase directly on TikTok, I mean, you just can imagine, how big of an industry that's going to be. Yeah,
And we're talking about this on TikTok now. It's coming on Instagram too, so it's not too far off Instagram as well. One of my favorite entrepreneurs that I like to follow, Simon Beard. I saw a video that he made yesterday. He mentioned that a self-education in TikTok shop at the moment is going to be worth more than a marketing degree. And the kids in there, because it's available heavily in the US already. There's kids making mega bucks, like for kids, talking like 50 to 100K a month just off
awesome.
kind of TikTok shop. And like, I'm seeing you got to be careful with some of those reports because some of them are fakes. But I've seen kind of reports of people even doing millions from these product reviews, different products. So yeah, if you are a content creator or if you do create a lot of content for your own e-commerce store, put it on other networks, starting with TikTok. Amazon, look, if you've got your e-commerce store, there's always the option to use Amazon as a marketplace and a 3PL so they can ship your products for you. You just ship it all to them. Obviously, you're giving up higher margins by doing that, but puts you on the biggest e-commerce platform in the world as well. So I know we've spoken about the Collagen Co before. They're like the number one seller for collagen products in Australia on Amazon, but they also do tremendously well off their own website too. So yeah, if Amazon is a viable option for your product or what you sell, yeah, could be a good option. But um, yeah, video reviews, something that I'm focusing on definitely a lot. And I've spent a bit of money on buying some resources recently around this topic too. So it's something before I even recommend anything to clients, I want to jump in the space myself and see what I can produce, see what I can do, and then give my recommendations off that. I don't like recommending to clients, hey, jump on this because it's the next silver object. If I think it's going to be worthwhile, I'll put the time and effort in to learn it, invest some money in it, and then come out with much better recommendations after I've kind of gone through it myself.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Makes sense to always test these things out. It's how we learn, isn't it? It's constantly evolving. You have to adapt with the space, otherwise you get left behind.
100%. So, but yeah, there's a lot coming in that space. So content creation. Actually, we were speaking to Ben about UGC content creators on last Thursday, and I asked him because he reaches out to a lot and uses them for the brands that he works with, and I said, how high quality are the UGC creators. When we say UGC, we're talking about user-generated content creators on the Facebook groups for UGC creators. And he's like, they're not that great from Facebook groups. It's usually people starting out and just trying to get their first type of gigs. But you've also got platforms like Tribe, where you can go to Tribe and find content creators on there. And people, you can say what you want. People will submit their videos, and you only have to pay them if you're only going to use their video. So there's a lot of platforms out there for content creators at the moment. And yeah, for your best-selling products, especially if imagine if you're selling like kids' bikes or something. You'd be crazy not to have a video of a kid on that bike. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you need when we're talking about video reviews too, I'm not necessarily talking about going into depth for an in-depth review of the product. I'm talking about almost getting some B-roll footage, just the product being used. You don't have to go into a full depth analysis of it. It's just get your product in video, basically.
yeah. No, I think with these things, it's got to be more authentic, isn't it? People don't want to, sometimes if it's too professionally done, and you're selling too much, it actually puts people off, certainly on social media. So,
Yeah,
um,
you want it to look natural, and as native to the platform that you're using as possible, really.
yeah, no, 100%. There's so much opportunity. There really is. These things are evolving, and I think on both sides, or if you're an e-commerce brand, you've got lots of opportunities to work with these content creators, and vice versa. If you're a content creator and you've got an audience, you've you've got so many opportunities to make an income by
Definitely.
partnering up with these brands. So yeah, the
100%. Just
opportunities
on
are
that
endless.
too, I'm trying to find because when we spoke to Ben on Thursday, he recommended a good app to actually put the videos on your product pages. I've just found it now. The app's called Toll
Yeah, I remember you
Tolstoy.
mentioned. Yeah,
And I'm going to spell it out for everyone because I had to get Ben to say it to me like 20 times and I still couldn't get understand what he's saying. So it's spelled Tolstoy. So that's the name of the app, and that's the app that he was using on his client accounts to put the UGC content on the product pages.
nice, nice. Yeah, there's going to be all sorts of apps like that coming out, I'm sure. To kind of link up the brands and creators.
Mm.
Um,
Actually,
Go, Jim.
just on the topic of apps, I might so we talked about I talked about wanting to kind of dive into a little bit what the bigger players are doing in the space. And a website that I'm using at the moment is called shopscan.app. And you can put big players in your space's like website domain in there or download the Chrome extension. And it'll actually show you kind of what apps they're using on their website. So it's a really, if you're looking for an app to do a particular thing that you've seen done really well on another website that you like, then definitely use shopscan.app and put in the URL, and it will probably show you the app that they're using to achieve that. Um, but I've used it this week for a lot, and I've actually found some really cool apps that um, would work well for some of my own clients too. There's another Google Chrome extension that I use called uh, Wapalizer. So it's called Wapalizer. It stands for Web App Analyzer, and it analyzes all the apps and things on the site, not just Shopify apps, but tracking pixels and how they're doing their marketing. So you can get a better understanding of the whole landscape of the site. So I can see like one of the bigger players that I was looking at, I could see that they were using like Creato for remarketing. They were using Rakuten for affiliate deals. So Rakuten and Commission Factory are two affiliate networks that you can apply to. Commission Factory has kind of higher standards. Like you need to probably be having 40,000 people to the site a month. But if you can get on those networks, then that opens up your store to be eligible to kind of show on cashback platforms like Shopback and Cash Rewards in Australia. They're the two big ones. But they're marketplaces in themselves. Like they drive a lot of traffic to those sites, and it gives your brand another viewing point, another place to drive traffic to your products. So yeah, if you're wondering how businesses are growing and you know of a business that's doing really well, you can just reverse engineer kind of what apps they're using, what platforms they're using to show their brand, how they're building their brand. I saw a lot of the sites that I was analyzing this week are using an AI chatbot called Gorgeous. So that one seems really popular, especially among the bigger brands. So there was that's it. There's another app there. Actually, I'm just gonna look it up.
was going to say, was there any others that you found when you were doing your research?
Yeah, there was a big one. Hang on, let me try and find this for people because this is kind of the next big thing that you're going to see everywhere for brands soon, and it's to do with owning your own app and basically getting your customers to purchase through this app. And then once you've done that, you basically can send them free push notifications. It kind of negates the cost of text message because you can just push notifications through to your customers that have bought through the app because they've got the app on their phone. Let me just see if I can. I don't want to leave dead air, so I'll keep having a browse for this and seeing if I could find it. I think it was. Hang on one moment. What's
There was another, I don't know if it's one that you sent me, Jimmy. There was one that when someone ordered, they got an automatic voice note through to
Oh
thank them.
yes, I saw that today.
That looked really clever.
Yeah, so the app that Charles is talking about, they use AI to clone either the founder's voice or something like that. This particular brand was selling toilets of all things, but um, so once the toilet had been purchased, straight away they get like a text message or whatever with a voice note from the founder using AI, thanking them for buying their product, and if they've got any questions, then they can use this email to contact the company. So, and that was straight away. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with AI and apps at the moment, especially if you're wanting to stand out and be different. The app that I was talking about is called TapCart. So I'm not sure if it's external to the Shopify app market. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone app. But what it does is it allows you to kind of recreate your store in a phone app for Android and Apple. So it gives you that leverage to have your brand on your customer's phone, basically. So it's a massive leverage point in terms of how much you can contact them, and push notifications through to them on big sales. So you'll actually, I think we did speak about this at one point last time, but LSKD, like they were pushing a lot of people to use their app. And what they did on their Black Friday sales is after the first week, they didn't, they had their huge sales like 30% off, but then the next week they still had 30% off, but you could get an additional 10% off on top of that if you purchase through the app. So they had their Black Friday sales, and then the next week they kind of pushed people onto their app to try to get as many people through to their app as possible, which I think is super smart because you want to house as many of your customers as you can in a place where you can contact them readily. So I always say email is the most important thing for an e-commerce brand because you can constantly keep sending them, you know, reminders about your sales or what's going on in your business. Push notifications are similar. I'd still say email wins out, but push notifications isn't that far off. So you imagine someone's carrying their phone around them with them all the time. If you push through a push notification to their phone, there's like a much higher chance that they're going to see it, even over email. So,
Yeah.
TapCart's the app that the big players that I saw are using, because I just noticed it a lot. Like some of the big e-commerce stores, the thing that I see popping up in the corner or down the bottom of the website, it's shop on our app if you're on desktop. And yet I started scanning them and then realized that they're all using the same app to build these things. I was like, okay, like this is coming and it's actually not that hard to implement. Like when you see apps, you think, oh, this is going to be a money pit, like in terms of investing in creating an app. I don't think it did still cost money, but I don't think it was that expensive in like it's not tens of thousands of dev work, that's for sure. I'm just looking at it now. So for the smallest for the lowest price one, you're looking at like $200 a month. So it's not, and that's for an iOS and Apple app. So it's not you're not spending tens of thousands in dev work for an app. It's literally you can get this up and running for $200 a month.
It's crazy. I mean, it used to, like I said, it used to be it cost you tens of thousands to create an application of any kind. Now $200 a month, you're up and running with your own.
I know
Mad.
I actually use some of the apps, and yeah, they're great. So, and the fact that you've got them sitting there just on your customer's phone is like mind blowing to me. Like, you want to grab this space early because it's going to get to a point where customers don't want 100 brands on their phone.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say. Yeah,
if you can get in early and build good rapport with your customer and not just spam the hell out of them, you're going to be in a good space if you can manage to get a whole bunch of customers using your app.
yeah. No, I think it's a very good idea. Like I said, it's still seems like it's early, I think, and it's just making sure that you get in and
Very.
spot.
I've only seen it pop up in a lot of apps recently. So, and like these are apps that would spend, I mean, sorry, these are companies that would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and potentially even millions on marketing a month. So they're usually, it's funny because in the e-commerce space, like the companies that were built by agile founders, they're still agile, like it's still their edge. Whereas you find in the corporate space, when the organizations get larger and larger, they get slower and slower to do everything. But I still feel like the e-commerce brands that are on top, especially in Australia, they've got really agile founders, and they didn't lose that edge when they've grown to kind of extraordinary kind of feats. I'm thinking about Culture Kings, who Simon Beard, who was the founder of that company with his wife Tani, they sold out for 50% of that business for $600 million, and they're still at the forefront of everything. And he's a really sharp mind too. So, um, yeah, those companies that kind of grew up being agile, and that can remain agile, that's the important thing too. That as they grow and get large, if they can remain agile and stay at the forefront of the technology that's coming out and the trends, they're always going to do well. There are some instances where and I've worked with some of them too. The larger you can build e-commerce sites to really large businesses, and then it gets to a point where there's just red tape for everything, and like nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Um, I think we spoke about this recently, Charles. You know, you had a client where you had 20 blog posts that were waiting to go, been sitting there for, over 8 months. So it's like,
Yeah, no,
um,
it's crazy. If you are, it's amazing how being able to just make decisions is a competitive advantage, because when these companies scale, and even I've seen it as companies, not even always the large companies, but companies as they're growing, they get into these issues and they hire more staff managers and they're trying to kind of figure it out as they go along. And then kind of, there's always battles internally. So it's not always the companies that are, got 1,000 staff. It can be companies that are growing and going from 10 staff to 50 to 100. So yeah, it's a real thing, and I still I still battle with it with my clients as well, and it's always a kind of trying to steer them in the right direction without I talked to you last week, didn't I, Jimmy, about a situation just like how I always asked Jimmy like how would you handle this, because I've hit a stalemate and I'm trying to get a client to do something particular and get them moving, but for whatever reason they don't necessarily have the resources or the time to do it themselves. So um,
yeah, and I think I remember that conversation, and kind of my advice is like business owners are motivated by the end financial results. So if you can kind of bring it back to that and how much
yeah,
money they've lost basically with those sitting there, I find that they make decisions a little bit quicker when you tell them, hey, you've lost $80,000 of revenue over the last 8 months with just these sitting there. Um, but yeah, I mean, working with these type of clients, like I used to have a client. I don't work with them anymore. I just couldn't do it. It was driving me insane. They wanted to double check every line of ad copy that I put out. And in the end, I said, it just got to a point where it's like, okay, no, you give me the rules and regulations you want around ad copy, but I'm not waiting 2 weeks every time you want to change a 30 character headline. Like this is crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and it's frustrating for me because I like working at a fast pace, and if my clients can't keep up with that or want to hold me back, 2 weeks or a month, then it's not a good fit for me anymore because it drives me insane. So,
yeah. No,
I like fast growth. And they're worried about compliance, but these guys are selling, you know, products that don't need a high level of compliance to put a Google ad out for. It's not a legal field. It's not, in the finance field at all. They're literally selling an everyday household product, and they're having to nitpick every 30 character headline. It's absolutely insane. So it's like, I just end up saying, guys, I think you should move this in house because if you just want me to write it and then you want to rewrite everything yourself, like, what's the point? Like,
yeah,
um, sure, they don't have, the technical skills potentially to set up all the campaigns and the strategy, but I those type of clients are just so hard to work with. It's like I prefer not to.
yeah. No, it certainly can be a challenge. Like you said, it's you want to be able to freely be able to do your job and get the client results, and but that's yeah, that's often the case in working with some clients. But the ones that allow you to do, get on with the job, I've always found they always get the best results because you're not constantly having to get approval for every little thing. So, um, yeah, it is. This is part of the agency game, I guess. It's what we
I,
signed up for, isn't it?
yeah,
Maybe I
and
don't.
it's very easy
Yeah.
for me to tell like which business owners are motivated to grow. So basically, I send out just standard reports to all my clients at the end of every month, and at the end of that report is a Calendly link to book in a call with me to, discuss the report. I'd say two of my clients book in those calls, which is mind blowing. Like they've got basically can organize a chat with me, discuss their accounts, go through kind of everything that they'd need to. And two of those clients doing it, it's crazy. But, I learned this the hard way because I used to spend hours and hours of writing customized reports, like really detailed insights. And it got to a point that I realized that none of my clients were reading them. It's like, why am I spending hours on this? And just as a test, I decided to change my reporting to kind of a more automated reporting. And hey, if you'd like to discuss this, book in a call. Um, and nothing changed. Like two clients booked in a call, and they were the same clients that would read the the report anyway and want to discuss it. But yeah, after cutting down on those super detailed reports, yeah, nothing changed. And I had the super detailed conversations with the clients that book in the calls because we can kind of go over strategy, we can talk that, but I don't want to write that in a report if no one's ever going to read it?
Yeah. Well, look, Jimmy, I always say like no news is good news. It means you're probably doing a good job. If they're not booking in a call with you, I don't know. It means that
Yeah,
maybe they're happy with the
sometimes yes.
results.
Yeah, I know, but like happy with the results and wanting to grow is two different things. So,
Yeah, true,
when
true.
I'm talking
Yeah,
when I'm talking about growth clients, the ones that want to have the calls are typically the ones looking for the edge and wanting to grow. And I actually, you might like a lot of agencies will think, oh, I just want the clients that you never hear from. Like, sure, some of them good, but I actually like working with the clients that want to grow because it pushes me and we can bounce ideas and I like the growth I like the growth of businesses. I like the growth of
Yeah.
e-commerce businesses. So I like helping them with their marketing. Just optimizing an account and getting, slightly better results month on month is boring to me. I like
Yeah.
how can we scale this massively? Like, you guys ready? Let's go. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, no, for sure, for sure. Because it takes you it would it takes you to the next level as well, doesn't it? It kind of motivates you to, if you're constantly just doing the same thing month after month with kind of, like I said, slowly growing, it doesn't kind of challenge your skill
there's
set and
only
your growth.
and it starts to plateau a bit. Like, once you've been working on an account for, a couple of years, if they're not willing to spend any more in ads or grow, like, there's a ceiling for where that ROAS is gonna get, without developing their website more and improving their conversion rate. Like, if they're not willing to invest in those things, then yeah, if you're getting a business to like 15 to 20 ROAS, um, there's not a there's not like a whole bunch of exponential growth that's going to come after that. So the exponential growth comes from, taking on a client where they've got 3 ROAS and like return on ad spend, and you realize that you can take their return on ad spend, get it closer to, 8 to 10. Like, they're the kind of big jumps you can have for companies. And then, once you hit that, it's like, okay, let's fix this on the website. Let's add this channel. Let's do this. Let's do that. Like, it's just a growth trajectory. But yeah, I mean, sure, I like a mix of clients. To be honest, the clients that I don't hear from a lot are the ones spending the least. Um, and they don't want to grow. They're sad. They just want their business ticking over, which is fine. Like, not everyone has to be, super growth mindset. I like working with those clients, but if some clients are just, hey, we need this amount of revenue to make the business work. Okay, let's get it there and try to, as hard as we can, to get it over it with the budget that you've got too. So yeah, I have pretty in-depth conversations with my clients before I start working with them, because I want to be on the same page as them. And if I think what they're wanting is not achievable or not realistic, I won't work with them. So like, I don't want to go into a client relationship promising them that I'll get something that I'm not confident that I could. So um, yeah, if
It's
someone
good.
came to me and they're, spending 50K a month, and they've got a return on ad spend of, that's quite decent already, like between, depending on the industry, but if they were around 8 or 9 already, and they're like, "Oh, Jimmy, we need to get this to 20," I'd be like, "Not gonna happen."
Yeah, and I think, clients appreciate that. I think there's so many, certainly in in my industry, SEO, there's a lot of over promising and unfortunately under delivering.
I
So
find
it's
I find a lot of SEO agencies are burn and churn. So,
yeah,
they've
yeah,
got really good front end marketing. They'll take you on, and then I'm sure people that have worked with SEO have heard this. Oh, it's going to take, 6 to 12 months to see results. And then that 6 to 12 months comes along and the results aren't there. And then you just leave that company, and, you know, that company just takes on someone else. It's just a burn and churn model. I hate that. Like,
yeah.
I
I
want
know.
to, I, my model is referred and retained. So I get referred a lot of work, and I retain those clients for as long as I can. I don't like going through the sales process. So for me, it's, if I can do as good a job as possible on the client, it means I have to go through that sales process less because I don't need any more clients. So it's just like, the better job you can do, the more you have to go through that sales cycle, which I don't enjoy.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I think that unfortunately there's a lot of SEO agency owners which really are just, they're just glorified salesmen. They're very good at sales, but actually when you ask them and ask them many questions, they're like, yeah, yeah, I don't actually know any SEO. Speak to my, so they're hiring people to do the
We'll
work,
rank
but
you.
they
We'll
don't
rank you
understand.
on the first page of Google. I'm like, yeah, for what? Like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah,
50, keyword phrase or like 50 keyword long tail keyword. Like this is what annoys me. They're like, oh, we'll get you on Google, the top page of Google, and then in their terms and conditions, it's like for some obscure thing that you've never heard of. But I say this a lot. It comes back to the onus comes back on the business owner as well. You've got to read those contracts because you're signing them and then finding out later that, oh, this was actually in the contract I signed. I just didn't read it.
yeah, yeah. I think the problem is with SEO is it's also it can be quite confusing because even the SEO industry in itself, they use so much terminology. It took me 2 years just to actually understand all the terminology related to, and I'm still, I'm like, what is that? Like, because they just make these different terms, but when you actually break it down and you realize that there's only certain key areas that you need to focus on. It's not black magic. It's just that as an industry, we make it sound more smarter than it actually is. And then because the client doesn't really understand it, oh yeah, yeah, okay, they sound like they know what they're talking about. Let me just sign up, and unfortunately, they get burned, or typically they'll just hire someone cheap without realizing that you're not going to get good SEO for $100 a month. It's just
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and my eyes kind of get opened a bit too. Like, I created one collection page which drove in like sales and organic traffic. It took me like a week. I'm just like, what are these businesses waiting 6 months to see results on? Um, Especially in the e-commerce space. And yeah, if someone was working with an SEO, I'd be like, okay, well, like, what's your plan to get traffic this week? Like, like what are you going to change? How long are you expecting it to take? And some of that, like, I can see traffic coming almost instantly just from updating product titles, making them
yep,
more relevant, especially on good sellers. Um, if you've got good sellers that aren't necessarily selling on Google, then you probably want to optimize those product titles,
yeah, for
get them
sure,
showing up in the free listings. And
yeah,
one of the questions I got this week, someone messaged me. They're like, "Hey Jimmy, like, do you have any resources on building a brand?" And then I kind of, I kind of dived into that a little bit. I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean by building a brand?" Because building a brand has so many aspects to it. They're like, "Oh, I just want to increase conversion rates and drive more sales." So ultimately, they just wanted to improve their sales. They didn't really care about building a brand at that stage. Like building a brand is so involved. It's it's community, it's the messaging, it's the website design, it's the sales, it's customer support. Like a brand is all encompassing. But yeah, what they really wanted to know is, hey, how do I increase sales? And it's like, well, and I was pretty blunt with them. I was like, well, you got a couple of options. You can create content and get traffic organically, or you can pay for traffic. Like you need traffic to get more sales. So you either create content or build a personal brand or that organic type content, or you pay for it. So and that might be through different apps. If you've got a product that's being searched for a lot, this particular person has like indoor furniture company. So 100% they should be on Google Ads. But also it's a very visual product too. So they need to be creating content around, their products in certain settings and how it's used. And yeah, it's people just, I love that saying, build it and they'll come. That's never what happens. Build it and market it well, and they might come.
yeah. It's never going to be perfect the first time around. It's a continuous process of testing, refining, executing, failing, and then
Yeah.
continuing that process and repeating it.
Guys that are starting out are so scared of spending money on ads too. Like it's a it really slows their progress, especially in Google Ads. You can get so much data that you could use so quickly early on, especially if your store has a lot of SKUs. You can quickly identify winners, like products that you want to focus on. And honestly, it just cuts the learning curve down by so much. So yeah, if you've got a store with a lot of SKUs, uh, definitely at least experiment with Google Ads. See what people are searching for, which products they're actually interested in, and which ones they're purchasing from your site too. So if you're not making any sales, it's usually because you don't have traffic. If you do have traffic and you're not getting sales, check the payment processor on your website. You wouldn't believe how many times I've had a client say, "Hey Jimmy, I've I haven't had any sales the last 3 days. Like, what's going on?" And I've gone to their website and checked, and their payment processors aren't working. Um, so yeah, if you are getting regular sales and they just drop off, always check the payment processors. The other thing you want to check is your shipping regions too, because even someone that joined our Facebook community, I was some of the early people that joined, when they put their store URL, I actually went on to their sites and just purchased some products. And one of them I couldn't because it said they didn't ship to me, and I let them know. I sent them a screenshot, "Hey, I've got no shipping option to Victoria," and she said, "Oh, what? That shouldn't be the case. I'll look into it." So she fixed it, and I went on there and bought it. But who knows how long that would have been like that if I didn't say anything. So you've got to check you've got to if there's something not right, check your checkout process. Make sure it's actually working.
Yeah, yeah. I think when it certainly with e-commerce stores, the technical side of things, you need to be checking regularly. I having moved from working more with, B2B service-based businesses to now e-commerce, there's far more I'm noticing on having to check far more from a technical aspect in terms of, are URLs actually indexed and working? I was checking earlier on a client site and there was a page that was the traffic had dropped off, and I was like, why is that suddenly dropped off? And then I looked at the page and there was a 404. I had to go and send an email to the client and get them to fix it. They weren't even aware. So yeah, the technical aspect from whether it's Google Ads, checkout, payments, SEO is super important.
Definitely. And yeah, another story from one of my clients today, like all their traffic started going to directs. I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is not direct traffic. I know it's coming from Google Ads. And someone had removed the self-referral exclusion. And for whatever reason, um, the Google Analytics tag isn't showing up on any page. So if they landed on one of those pages with the analytics tag not on it, and then they went to the next page, because the previous page didn't have the tag on it, and they didn't have a referral exclusion. Google was saying, "Oh, you've come from the site, so this is just direct traffic." So, um, and I was looking for the issue for ages, and then I found it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, just the simplest things." But 100%, you've got to check your the technical aspects of your website. And the hard thing is, a lot of the business owners honestly wouldn't even know how to check where their sales have come from in Google Analytics. And to be fair, a lot of the marketing managers don't know either, which I find quite funny. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what are you guys doing in Google Analytics then? Like, what are you looking at? Um, but yeah, the more you can get across that stuff and make data-driven decisions, the better. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. I mean, that's pretty much flush on an hour. We've covered a lot tonight, and yeah, there's something that everyone can take away from tonight, whether there's a particular app that they want to use or how to do competitor research with Wapalizer and what's the other one that I used? Shopscan.app. So use that for the apps. And yeah, have a look at what your main competitors are doing in your space. Don't copy it, but make it like use it as inspiration and make it your own. But yeah, like make sure you're growing in some capacity this week. That's all. That's all I'll say. Make sure your shops doing something to drive additional sales. I think that's kind of the motto for all my clients. Like, hey, what have we done to make this better this week? What can we do to make it better, even better next week? And that's the ongoing hamster wheel we're all on in the e-commerce space. The job's never done.
It's all, yeah, always continuous improvement.
Yeah, that's it. Kaizen, I think the Japanese call it.
Yes, no, that's true. It's a good concept that there's a good book out regarding that. Cool.
All right,
Sounds
we'll leave it there and we'll plug the Facebook group one more time. Go check out e-commerce marketing community on Facebook, and I hope you enjoyed these e-commerce marketing chats, and we'll catch you next week.